Your source for everything paranormal. Para-X. The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para-X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Merry meet and merry part, bright the cheeks and warm the heart. For tread the circle thrice about, to keep unwelcome spirits out. Bide within the law you must, in perfect love and perfect trust. Mind the threefold laws you should, 3 times bad and 3 times good. These 8 words the read fulfill, and ye harm none, do what ye will.
Welcome to Stirring the Cauldron. Now, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
Merry meet, everybody, and welcome to Stirring the Cauldron. Now, tonight we're going to be talking about manifesting with my guest, Von Braschler, who wrote the book Manifesting, Using Thought Forms to Visualize Real Change. Now, Von is the author of many books on consciousness, development, dreams, energy healing, and time. He's lectured and led workshops throughout the United States and the United Kingdom. And some of his previous books include 7 Secrets of Time Travel, Moving in the Light, and Confessions of a Reluctant Ghost Hunter. And it's interesting having him on for this book because he's been on my show calendar for about a couple of months, I think, when I wrote him down for this week. But in the past week, I've seen half a dozen references, articles and ads and posts about manifesting everywhere. You know, it's as though the topic of manifesting has been manifesting itself all over the place. So, Von, welcome. And do you think, could manifestation manifest itself?
Well, I think you're onto something, Marla. I think that consciousness is trying to get out of the bag. And to get out of the bag, it has to get out of us.
Good point. It was just so weird because everywhere I looked, it was manifesting. What? It's one of those V8 moments, and you scratch your head before the light bulb goes on.
Could have had a V8.
I should have had a V8. It might have made it a lot easier to swallow.
Yeah.
So in the metaphysical world, we use creative visualization for many things. And I want to talk about thought forms for a minute because I was taught that our thoughts are energy with certain vibrations, and negative thoughts create negative events and positive thoughts create positive events. But lots of people associate thoughts forms with the negative, like creating entities like a tulpa, for example. So can you give us a little basic thought form 101 and how we use them or how we can use them?
Well, first of all, we have to get our heads wrapped around the concept that thoughts have form. They're not just like imaginary wanderings of the mind. They're not empty things that go nowhere. And that we do project out our thoughts. And the point I try to make early on in the book is that we all project thought forms all the time. We're thinking out loud, but they just bounce off walls. So people out there probably remember walking into a room. There's nobody in the room. You walk into the room, but it's like exploding with energy. You'll notice this if it's negative energy, and I think throughout time that people have become kind of worried about people that actually do have the ability to project and direct their thoughts in a constructive manner, and not just bounce them off the wall, kind of scattergun fashion, as we typically see. And we think, well, it's negative, but you can create all kinds of wonderful things with your thought forms. Your thought forms actually are energy, and they extend out from you And if you direct them to a specific source using the right steps, well, then they'll actually go to that target. And I think they can be extremely effective in a force for good as well as harm. And as I point out in the book, yes, you could create negative thought forms, and you could create negative visualizations, but they probably wouldn't last long. And the reason is, if you think about group thought, like let's talk about the Maharishi effect, for instance. Mm-hmm. A group of people have the same thought, they'll send it out as a group, and it has tremendous impact. And we've also seen the reverse of that. We've seen dictators like Hitler and Mussolini. They'll get people all chanting and thinking really destructive thoughts. But I think that the universe is really strives toward unity and harmony. And it eventually will not accept those forms, and they'll eventually wear away because they don't conform in a creative way to making the wholeness picture that we're all looking for.
Okay, so I want to jump back just a little bit when we were talking about creating thought forms consciously, but we probably, like you said, we unknowingly probably create thought forms all the time during the course of the day without knowing it. Well, now we know that we do, but thank you for that. But what happens to those that we create that aren't done for a specific purpose? Do they just kind of fly away?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. But this is, of course, also, it explains how ideas will be out there and people all pick them up at once. Let's say manifesting, for instance. Everybody's thinking about manifesting. Well, somebody was thinking about it really, really loud and projecting this thought. Might have been somebody in your audience, It might have been you or me, And then the thought, the energy is out there, not going to a specific target, and so the message is just kind of broadcast loosely, like a ripple effect, and it just kind of ripples everywhere throughout the airwaves, and people will pick them up as a message without a face. See, so then I think this is what is happening.
So is that like, and I'm not really sharp on this, but like a bunch of people thinking the same thing, isn't that like an egregore?
Yeah, that would be a good example. So we can create anything as a group, and there's power in group thought. There's power in group chant, there's power in group song, there's power in group recitation, there's power in singing, there's power in, meditation, there's power in group prayer, whatever you want. And so there's power in group thought. And so thought is really just an intense meditation that's projected out there as a thought form. And it has, of course, thought power. And if it has a target, then it goes to a target. If it has a visualized effect, then it might actually achieve a change in reality. So I think the group effect can be extremely powerful in bringing about change in the world.
We've heard that, and we've had people pointing out examples of it, and whether people believed it or not, but there have been cases where, wow, yeah, that really did work. So, it's about the open mind as opposed to the closed mind, but that's a whole nother show. All right. So in the book, though, you talk about missing steps that many people overlook by putting the cart before the horse, so to speak. You want to talk about that?
And this is primarily why I wrote the book. One is I think that people don't understand or appreciate the power of consciousness. And consciousness is everywhere around us in all of life, but it's in us, and we don't seem to understand how it works, and it's a powerful force in many ways. But a lot of people like the idea of manifesting change, and a lot of people like the idea of creatively visualizing change. And I think all they often do is simply, desire change. They wish for it intensely. They think if they have enough desire, it's going to happen. But they're not actually putting together all the steps that are involved in visualization. So I've gone back to, excuse me, some of the master texts, and I like Raja Yoga, and they don't leave anything out when they do a sutra. So I try to translate this for a Western audience because it gets pretty heavy. But it's like the first thing that people overlook is that if you're thinking a thought and you're thinking about words and you're saying words, then you're actually engaging the analytical mind. The analytical mind is not what we're looking at. We're looking at the consciousness that is underneath that. This is something associated with spirit. This is your inner self. This is more powerful than your mind. I know people like to gaze at their navel and think happy thoughts about how good their body, this body harmony thing that's going around the planet like it's like the latest flavor aid. But there's something much bigger than that, and that's consciousness. And directed consciousness is a powerful thing, but it is not the brain. It is not the physical mind. It is something else. So the first thing I try to get away from in setting up a creative visualization to bring about manifest change is to get people away from speaking or even thinking words. And in other words, turning off the physical mind. So I try to get people to turn off the physical body, turn off the physical mind, get in touch with their inner self. Let spirit lead the way. That's what I say. Let spirit lead the way. So there's that. So I get people to think in terms of pictures. They visualize pictures. And so I say visualize a clear slate, an empty slate in front of your mind's eye. Close your eyes, see nothing but darkness. And as we know, occultly, out of darkness, all things come. So we look into the darkness and we see this blank slate. Now, many people will think of a whiteboard, or they'll think of a blackboard. I don't care how you do it. But you're looking at because it's not really a physical thing. It is a concept. And you're looking at a clear slate. And on that slate, with your mind's eye, you begin to draw a picture of where you want to go, what you want to do, and the message you want to send out. So you're actually probing with your consciousness. You're actually reaching out from the physical body beyond time, beyond space, reaching out with your new creative visualization. So what you draw upon that blank tablet then becomes your creative visualization. That is your agenda, and it becomes your map of where you're going. So then the second step is to tuck it into the back of your consciousness, to tuck it deep inside you. And that allows you to prepare to actually send it out. You're actually going to send it out, and so you realize that you're actually going to extend beyond the physical body, maybe beyond space, maybe beyond time, and it prepares you for the launch, as I say. This is the launch phase. So you tuck it back, and then you prepare yourself, and then you tell yourself, I'm going to send this now. I'm going to launch this visualization, and it's going to be a thought form that travels as intelligent energy out there, and it's going to go to a specific target with specific effects and impact. So it's targeted with impact. The third thing I think I've added to the missing equation here is building into the creative visualization drawing the picture, forming the picture in your mind's eye of achieving the outcome you want. Most people say, I just hope it happens. Okay, you hope it happens, but you need to actually visualize it happening. So if you want to visualize somebody getting well, you picture them, and then you picture them getting well. And that becomes part of what you draw on your tablet, on your slate. It becomes part of your agenda. It becomes part of the impact you're sending out. And you must, in other words, you must totally believe. I think the formula I was taught by my psychic teacher, Louis Gittner, was you conceive, you achieve, and you believe. And if you leave out any step, sorry, you're just having desires and wishes, and you know what they say about wishes. Mm-hmm. So I think that a lot of people just have a lot of wishes and they hope it happens, and I think there's a whole lot of practical application. I believe in practical magic. I want real results in my life. I want to bring people into my life. I want to visualize change. I want to visualize outcomes in my life. I want to visualize finding lost objects and people and pets in my life. I want to visualize bringing the right guides into my life, the right instructors into my life. And all of this is possible, healing, visualizing healing for people. And we say, I'm going to send you my thoughts and prayers. Okay, you send your thoughts, but did you ever think to actually visualize them being well? Or you visualize them only being sick, you see? So I think you have to connect the dots. You have to actually visualize the outcome, because that is the end result you're looking for. You're looking to creatively visualize, manifest change. In other words, energy that's manifested.
Well, that's the same thing in witchcraft in a sense. When we do a spell, we see it done. As we're casting, we see it done, because there shouldn't be any doubt that it wouldn't be.
I'm with you, sister. That is exactly the way I was taught it.
That's
yes. Right. So there's absolutely nothing new under the sun, but not everybody has this information, and I think this is sad, because everybody can manifest a better reality, for themselves and for those around them, for all the good reasons.
Well, this morning I found a thing on picture, and I posted it on my Facebook. And wait a minute, now I want to get it the right way, so let me just pop back there for a second. Oh, all right. It says a major part of manifesting is believing you're worthy of what you're asking for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You have to have the belief that what you're creating can be real and should be real. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and self-worth is a kind of a scarce thing, because everybody's double guessing themselves, and not sure that they can do it, and having all those doubts. And I don't think it. People say, well, if I think any other way, then I'm being kind of a show-off or whatever. And no, you're just being positive about what you think. You're not trying to impress anybody by being that way,
Yeah. And when we say manifesting, people are always thinking they're going to win a lottery, or they're going to create a brand new dream house, and they're going to walk and find it, and someone hands them the keys. We're not talking necessarily about material possessions, or we're thinking of it's more like communicating and connecting energetically with new possibilities, opening possibilities.
That's a good way of putting it. You answered one question from the chat room already. Unknowingly you did, but she was wondering if there were things that they should be doing or trying to do before manifesting, like certain way to think or how to put it out there, which I think you covered really nicely. So you're reading minds again. There you go, Houdini. But there's another chat room question, and he's asking, do we create thought forms in our sleep, and perhaps during a nightmare, could we possibly unwittingly unleash some negative thought or entity?
Well, we could. This is kind of what happens in like a lucid dream. Now, we have to separate our dreams. If you're having a restless dream, a common, typical, routine dream, you're having kind of flashback memories. It is actually memories stored within the physical mind. So, this is the thing that psychologists make their living doing, putting you on the couch and trying to figure out how these things are bubbling up while you're trying to sleep. And it's a case of a restless mind. You're trying to sleep, and these things keep boiling over, demanding an answer. When you couldn't solve it during the day, and you think, well, my mind is like my body is kind of, asleep, but it's like still trying to do the job, and it's still worried about everything that happened yesterday and worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. But I think if in the case of a lucid dream, a very vivid dream that's way out there, a dream of discovery, a dream of where you travel in your sleep, let's say, or even a waking daydream, where it's very clear, it's very colorful, very vivid, and very impactful. It has great meaning for you, deep meaning. Those kind of lucid dreams, I think, are dreams of the spirit, and I think, therefore, they're dreams of our consciousness. Or people always say, your higher consciousness. Well, you only have one consciousness. You're either engaging it or you're not. But it's our connection to a higher consciousness in the greater cosmic sense. Mm-hmm. It is your consciousness. So when your spirit is allowing you and directing you and pulling you into a lucid dream, yes, then you're very likely creating thought forms, because your consciousness is actually taking you somewhere. You're mm-hmm. being directed by it. You're being pulled along like in a wagon.
Well, when I saw that, all I could imagine, it popped into my head that somebody's having a dream that monsters are chasing them, and that's not an uncommon dream. So, all right, so here's somebody who is petrified in the dream. They're running as fast as they can, and there's all kinds of monsters right behind them. Now, they wake up, but those thought forms, can you just see that monster parade that's going out into the universe? That's what came into my head. But
I do think that there is the case where you have a lucid dream on an astral plane, and I've had some doozies, and I suggest you avoid them. But it's not a happy place for the most part. But I think generally when you dream the monster, it's like the psychologists often say, the monster represents something that's unresolved within you, mm-hmm. Based in your childhood and your suppressed memories. And those monster dreams probably are a different thing. They're part of the restless mind.
As opposed to creating these monsters and letting them loose in the universe. Yeah. It was an interesting thought, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got another chat room question.
Good.
CC wants to know, what about if you can manifest for others but not yourself?
That's wonderful. What a nice thought. Thank you. I have a whole chapter on that. I think it's really good to use this for others, and I have a chapter like for why we create, manifest, mm-hmm. For whom we create, mm-hmm. and often it is for others, it's for the sick, it's for the lost, it's for helping people, mm-hmm. It is a beacon, an intelligent energy you can project out there as a beacon of light to help others. And why you can't do it for yourself? Well, very often it's like, okay, let's go back to the, it'll come back to you threefold if you're trying to win the lottery. It just will. I'm sorry. That's just not what we're talking about.
No, it's not. Okay, sorry. Got a frog in my throat.
Ribbit.
So, yeah. We talk about doing manifestation for ourselves, and you might want to call it self-help, but the term to me, self-help, is kind of a misconception in this day and age, because so many people think that they need to go to other people who advertise their practices for their products or whatever, and that's not really helping ourselves. That's helping somebody else. So real self-help, and you talk about this in the book, comes from within. We already have what we need. We don't need to pay attention to someone to do it for us, right?
Right. And so many of these self-help programs, you notice that there's always one more seminar or one more book or one more series that they want you to pay money for, and you're never going to get there. You're never going to get there because it's like you're the cash cow. The power is within you to change and to bring about change in your life. And I think self-help and self-healing and self-improvement are well within our abilities. You can visualize. You can actually go outside yourself and visualize making yourself better, making yourself healthier, making yourself more clear-headed. That's what I always look for. If I could just be clear-headed for just a moment, maybe I'll stumble into the right answers. But I mean, yes, I mean, you can actually, bring yourself to a healing place with your consciousness. You actually can creatively visualize a special healing place for yourself. And there you go. You're bathed in light in this place and fully energized and restored. It's rejuvenating. And there's so much you can do in the way of self-healing and self-improvement through visualization.
And the best thing, though, is that people need to realize that you don't need anybody but yourself and your faith in yourself, and you know that you have the ability to do it, right?
Yes, that's a really good point.
Yeah. Goes back to, am I worthy of manifesting? I mean, people just need to know what good is in them and how strong they really are underneath, and forget what other people say. If you believe in yourself, miracles can happen.
I think that people think that everything is just kind of set in stone and there's all this destiny involved, and we're just like walking through some maze that someone has put us in. But in truth, I mean, this world is not fully formed. This is a changeable world. It is in many ways, in the traditional sense, plastic. It is bendable. It is malleable. It is not yet fully formed. It is our input that makes it whole. And so we are responsible for our own health.
And capable of it. And it's like Reiki healing. I mean, some people will say, "Well, yeah, I can do that for other people. I can do Reiki, but for me it never works." Well, because you don't believe it does, maybe. That simple?
That's very true.
All right, we got one more question before the break. She wants to know, can we manifest others changing their behavior or beliefs, or does that go against free will?
I don't think you can get someone to change their thoughts. You should go into politics with that idea. That's good. We could use it now. But I think that you can project the thought to them. And now the thing about thoughts, and I need to go to some source material on this. The thoughts need to reach a receiver with a high degree of receptivity. I'm trying to say that if they're not receptive to the thought, it's not going to happen. Most people, their minds are made up. But you can send the thought out there, and then it occurs to them. This is where a lot of people get their brilliant ideas. Someone's sent it to them, knowingly or unknowingly. So, I mean, our thoughts can impact others, but getting them to change their thoughts is a little harder.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I think we'll just go off 30 seconds earlier because I've got so much more to come back, but I don't want to cut off a good answer and a good question now. So we are going to take a quick break and, everyone sit tight and manifest us coming back in just about 2 minutes.
Stirring the Cauldron will be right back, so don't go away. If you end up with webbed feet, remember, you've been warned. missed an episode of Stirring the Cauldron, then be sure to check out marlabrooks.com and check out the archive. And while you're there, check out Marla's weekly Witches Oracle card reading. Explore the site to find many great resources, such as information on tarot, oracle readings, metaphysical consultations, and links to all of Marla's books. That's marlabrooks.com.
Throughout time, events have occurred that have shaped human history. Spirit voices from the past have many stories to tell, and for the past several years, channelers Barry and Connie Strom have been conducting live channeling sessions and relaying those stories and messages from those on the other side. We invite you to tune in to Barry and Connie's new show, Channeling History, on the PowerX Radio Network, every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, as they relay the messages of those voices from the past, the ones who have witnessed history firsthand, and those who have made history themselves.
Hey everyone, it's Marla. If you like tonight's episode of Stirring the Cauldron and the archive podcast as well, take a look at the show's YouTube channel and check out the dozens of shows that are there just waiting to be heard. New shows are added each week, and while you're there, why not subscribe? It's free. And if you click on that tiny little bell icon at the top of the page, you'll be notified when new shows are available. Just go to youtube.com and then type in Stirring the Cauldron Para X, and the link will appear. Just like magic.
Welcome back to Stirring the Cauldron. Once again, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
All right, my guest tonight is Von Braschler, and we're talking about his new book, Manifesting, Using Thought Forms to Visualize Real Change. And I've got a couple of other things that I want to jump in, and I might be jumping around here and there. But you have a chapter on the limits to what we can accomplish with creative visualization.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, the first thought in my head when I saw that was, are there really limits? Because I thought creative visualization and creativity was limitless. But as I read, there's some potential dangers involved in creating thought forms. So can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think that generally speaking, it's pretty much unlimited. You know, there's probably going to be a little bit of limitation. I don't think that it's something to think about. But I think if you're looking at like destructive thoughts, bringing somebody down, destructive thoughts, I think there's a limit to what you can do. There's a limit to the impact we can have on other people's lives. I mean, yeah. But, I mean, you can visualize practically anything, and it will have an impact. Now whether it brings about change does involve a lot of different things. I mean, we are a part in a chain of events. Every thought we send out will impact everything. If you send a thought to somebody sitting on a rock by a lake, part of it is going to affect the rock, part of it's going to affect the lake, and so forth. I mean, you can't get around the impact of the power of our thoughts if they're well directed and concrete. But then, I think that there are some limits probably in what you could hope to achieve if your goal was not to bring about something that's materially, I'll use the term materially constructive. You've manifested something concrete and harmonious to the unity at all. And I'm not being Pollyanna about this. I think if you look at things in nature, in the universe, in our world, things tend to grow and perpetuate in a circle of life. And I think if you're trying to interfere with the the main programming of this this orderly, holistic circle of life, then it doesn't conform. Mm-hmm. It doesn't conform. I would say to the divine plan, the overarching plan. It will have an impact. It will have an impact. I hope that's not too short of an answer, but.
No, but we were talking about the universe, obviously. But I was thinking too that if someone wants to manifest something that they think is really good for them, but it actually isn't, will the universe step in at times and not allow us to manifest what's not good for us, or are they going to let our free will shoot us in the foot?
So I'm saying if you do this exactly right, that you're doing this in a consciousness form and not just thinking of it in your mind, that your consciousness being akin to your spirit will not allow you to do this. Your spirit is, just as your brain is trying to keep you physically alive as many decades as it can, your spirit is trying to keep you safe and sound and directed forever. So it knows where you've been, it knows where you're going, it knows where you should be going, it knows what lessons you need to know. I think that you need to actually acknowledge the inner spirit aspect of one's inner consciousness in doing a truly fine creative visualization. I mean, if you're doing it really, really well, the way that, let's say, the Samadhi mystics would do it, I mean, they would actually be visualizing in accord with the interests of their own spirit, their higher spirit. So it would be very hard to do something truly deadly, to yourself, damaging to yourself. It wouldn't take. It wouldn't go there. It would like peter out. The energy would just go and not actually hit the mark. It's like how would I say, a governing effect.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I just, because sometimes the universe will step in and put you off in another direction for certain things, I guess.
Yeah, but I think it's your own spirit that does this, and I mean, however one wants to look at that, and there's different ways to do that, and there's probably no really good defining explanation to what's at work here, but it's the eternal part of you. It's your intelligent consciousness that eclipses your physical life and continues with you, like your passport forever. Going forward. So I think that people are always looking at doing something dangerous, and once again, this is practical magic. I mean, this is not going to take you into a dangerous place.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, here's something that jumped out at me that I should have not been surprised about. But in the book, you talk about finding lost objects and even people through creative visualization. And you have an exercise about visualizing objects that we've lost.
Yep.
And I really need to get up to speed on that. I'm losing a lot lately. Some of my marbles, I think. But there's also an exercise on finding lost loved ones. And how does remote viewing tie into this?
What you do is it all depends on how concretely you can visualize and draw or paint a picture on your inner tablet, your clear tablet. And you're actually visualizing then, who they are, and on top of that you're adding, like, where are you, and all that goes into the picture, and you don't have to worry about how specific the picture is, but you have to be able to understand what you've put on your agenda, what you visualized, so that when you recall it from the deep recesses and you're ready to launch, that becomes an unerring map to go out there and probe and find. So you're actually going to send the signal out there. And you're either going to go and find them or they're going to hear you. I mean, there's different ways to do this, you know. So, yes, you can find lost loves. You can find lost pets. You can find lost keys. I tell you, I used to do workshops where I would tell people how to find lost keys, and and I would say, you would hold something in your hand, and then you would sense it, but now I use this creative visualization because I realize that I can go outside myself where I obviously don't have my keys or my glasses, and I can go outside myself and I can find them. And if I can't find them here, I can find them yesterday, or I can find them tomorrow. Sometimes you say, well, I can't find them now, and I don't know where they are. I keep going backward in time trying to look for them, and I can't find them. So I'm going to go forward in time where I might actually encounter them. And there you say, oh, when I cross the yard by the tree, it's going to be just off to the right. That's how I find my lost phone when I drop it, 2 miles from home. I just know where it is, but I mean, you actually see it, So this is not unlike remote viewing, where you're actually probing with your thoughts. You're either sending the thought out there to them, come find me, here I am. I'm sending you a signal, or you're trying to find them. You're going out there and trying to see them. Either way, it's a probe. It's our intelligent consciousness probing outside ourselves to find information, and it's a message. It's all a message in a bottle.
Yeah, and while you're talking, I kind of get the difference, because somebody in the chat room wanted to know what the difference was between remote viewing and creative visualization, and it just popped into my head as you were explaining it, that it made a lot of sense.
Well, it's like, you want to call them caramels or caramels. It's kind of the same candy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because people do remote viewing for lots of reasons, and some people create visualizations, but creating a visualization. Yeah. All right, let me see if I get this right. Yeah. Creating a visualization, you're seeing it in your mind's eye and how you see it.
You're seeing it. Yeah, you're seeing it. So you can send the thought out there, blindly, but you can also send it out there with what I call new eyes. This is the awareness eyes of our consciousness, our higher consciousness, and so you're going out there and you're seeing it. I can see my keys. They've fallen, under the seat in my car. Oh my gosh, there they are. So I mean, it's like I didn't have to reach under the seat. I saw them. There they are. So I think that works. So I have different exercises in the book for finding lost pets, lost people, lost loves, and also bringing people into your lives. Because I mean, you can reach out there. You're basically sending a signal out there. And if it reaches a target, you can either get a bounce back from that target, or it actually impacts the target and it says, oh, there's somebody in this place trying to find me.
Well, like suppose somebody has moved away, for whatever reason. They've moved, and they don't know anybody around them. And, you just don't want to knock on your neighbor's door and say, hi, neighbor, kind of thing. Yeah. So you're not exactly visualizing anything specific. You're putting out there that, you want some friendship. You want some people, in your life. Yeah. But you're kind of putting it out generally.
Yeah. You need to be specific. I think the one thing I want people to understand is you have to get very quiet and still within yourself to do this. You have to actually draw the pictures, or as I say, visualize the pictures of what you want to see, discover, or achieve, and with the outcome you want. And then it has to be very, very specific. And sometimes we don't know specifically what we're looking for, but we say, I want to find this person, and it's like, I don't know where to look. It's like, I want to find this person, and then in the picture is the if you want to say the desired intent, then I need to know where this person is. And all that gets encapsulated in what you visualize.
And you can kind of say, like, qualities in this person or something like that,
Yeah.
Kind of like, Match.com. But you can put it out there, that I'd like to see somebody my age or what sex they are or, if they have the same interests that I do, kind of thing. So that's
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And so you don't have to say how they look. I mean, some people will say, well, I've got to, they describe them physically.
When I worked for a publishing house and I first started doing some of this creative visualization, I, first of all, I tried to do it for like odd things like setting specific goals, and like, and then I realized that you could be extremely personal. And at one time we needed a publicist, and I think I described in the book how I found her a publicist. And I pictured her, how tall she was, that her hair was red, that she had freckles, and she was really smart. She just graduated school, and she was a Phi Beta Kappa. And then suddenly I just kind of put away all the applications because I knew somebody was going to call, and she came in, and there she was. It's exactly what I'd visualized. That was astounding.
I was going to say, were you taken aback when that happened?
Oh, and she was fantastic. She was like a superhuman.
You didn't know your own strength, did you?
Well, I just sent out the message. Here's the thing. You send out the message, and there has to be a willing receiver. And so she was looking for a gig, she's out of school. And she was listening. So I sent out the message, and then she says, oh, someone's looking for me, So she heard the message, So, and then she came in.
Okay.
See, communication is a two-way street.
Mm-hmm. It is. And it's good to know that when you send something out there are people that will get the message and come back to you. We're not doing it just a shot in the dark, right?
Yeah, and I think it's important to learn to listen, for the right messages, because we're always thinking we're getting bombarded. Say, oh no, more messages. And so not only happens when you're watching television or driving along the highway and all the billboards bother you, but it's like we're always getting bombarded with thought messages, thoughts that are being sent by invisible faces. So who's sending me all these messages? Well, sometimes they're the messages you should be listening to.
How do you know?
Well, if it registered with what you need, okay. I think you have to it's called selective listening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's sometimes I'll post. I do the Oracle deck card once a week for everybody, and every so often somebody will go, "Oh, that's exactly what I needed." Or the other day when somebody went, "Oh, really? Wow." They didn't think it was like serendipity. It was scary to them.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's not what you need at the moment, it's just like whoa, it goes right over your head. Like I don't get it. It's like it's just totally blank. So that's a non-responsive audience, receiver.
Mm-hmm. And then the other ones get shocked.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between thought forms and thought power?
Well, essentially the same thing. So we're describing the very real fact that our thoughts, they have vibration, they have energy, they're intelligent, and they come out of us. That we project them, and that as they come out, they have a certain power. Now, how much power they have is depending on how well you can direct them with what intent and focus you can direct them. And, of course, that's what we're talking about in creative visualization and manifesting thought forms. Because what we're doing is we're directing the thought forms to be powerful. In other words, with impact.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's no point in sending them if it's not. It's just like intent.
No, I mean, if you have nothing behind it. So, I mean, yes. I mean, everybody who says, I just want it to happen. It's like, yes, after we've said all this, still you have to have a lot of desire to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. And willingness to accept it when it does.
Yeah.
Can you, if you're sending something out like that, and after you send out that visualization, and you have a second thought about that, can you take it back, or is it just going to keep going?
It does keep going, and you really can't retract it. That is kind of an unfortunate thing. It's like all these radio signals that are going around the world endlessly, getting ever weaker, but still people are picking them up. They're out there. It's like the ripples in a stream. After someone's dropped a pebble, you can't take the ripple away. It's happening, and it's created a ripple effect out there. So yeah, I mean, you could send something over it saying disregard earlier messages, but it's out there, so you can't retrieve it.
Okay, that's a little slight warning, but yeah, I just that's the way my mind works.
I mean, everything we do, has consequences. I mean, you can't get over that. And so it is with our thoughts. We are responsible for our thoughts because they do have impact, and they can be targeted.
Good to know. All right. I know I'm jumping around a bit, but I want to know more about the colors of light energy, because are the colors like the same as in candle magic, like green is for money, red is for love? Talk about this for a minute.
Well, that's the way I learned it. I'm a Buckland fan. Yeah. So let me tell you. So he was a hoot. Well, the thing was, the thoughts have colors, and it's kind of like you think, like pink is affectionate, and darker colors would be maybe anger or avarice, So I mean, I have a chart in here. Actually, there is a whole way of looking at our thoughts. And it's because our thoughts emanate, basically they're empowered by our intelligent energy, which of course is driven by the energy that resides within our chakra system, which is just a way of visualizing what it is. I mean, you can't like draw a picture of your chakra. I know people love to do that, and they love to picture where they are. But in truth, your chakra exists in your mental plane, your causal plane, your emotional plane, your spiritual plane. I mean, your chakras. So you're sending out mental energy, and it's going to be yellowy, It just is, And so your thought forms as a projected as powerful thoughts, your thought power, would then have a color, which indicates the energy or the vibrational impulses of it. And so that's important to remember, I think, because if you're trying to impact somebody mentally, you want to send mental energy, But it's just a whole lot to think about that. You don't need to worry about what color the thoughts are, or what chakras are in play. It just is that way, Mm-hmm. And it's a natural thing. You can't really affect it. It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking too, as you're talking, that if you're visualizing color, and some people are very colorful and can do that, that the primary colors would be the stronger ones, the secondary colors would be, a little bit less maybe. But, like if you're really angry or something and you throw a red or an orange in there,
that is exactly what happens. The colors will, and they bounce. The colors bounce. They have such vibrational impact that the more intense the color, intense the thought, the more driven the thought, the more it bounces, the more it bounces off of you. So I know in Hindu philosophy they talk about the tattva effect. So it's like mental energy, and if you just keep sending the mental energy, it will it just gets intensely yellow, just bow, 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 and it's no longer soft yellow. It is like, listen, I'm sending you mental energy, and the same would be true of love. Some of your fans like me have probably sent love spells. I confess I have, and they're very powerful, and they're hard to reverse, right? So, but you project it out there in a repeated fashion, and you keep sending out this energy, and it's like it's just overpowering, and it does have an impact. It does have an effect.
Okay. Well, the effect here now is that we're running out of time, which is a usual effect, and you want to smack it, but that's another story. So, where can people get in touch with you? Where can they find you? Where your books and all that stuff?
I live on a little island in the middle of nowhere, but you can find my books on Amazon.com. You can go to my Facebook / V Braschler. And I also post activities, upcoming things on my author page on Amazon. So those are the primary things. Once in a while I get real creative and go on Twitter or Instagram, but it's like, I'm not a techie person.
And you're not a twit, right?
And I'm not a twit.
I know, that's what Twitter cracks me up all the time.
Yeah,
are you a twit? Yeah. Oh, and not understanding that. All right. I know the inside story that you are working on something else now soon, and hopefully that will manifest into something wonderful.
Well, Marla appears that it has. I haven't got the word, but it looks like, and Marla's been helping me with this new project. It looks like it's going to happen.
Yes.
And it was our mutual departed friend who gave me the idea of how to do it, and I got an advocate, and it wasn't the name that was selected, but it was another good advocate, and I think it's going to happen. So
I can't wait. I'm
excited.
All right. Thank you for showing up tonight. I really do appreciate it. The book is really, really good, as always. And, come back. Please come back.
I'd love to.
All right. And everybody else, thank you for listening in as well. And until next time, everybody, blessed be and merry meet again. Good night.
This has been another edition of Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks. Be sure to tune in next week at the same time for another great guest and more fun. Any rebroadcast or other use of this program without permission is strictly prohibited. Copyright 2009.
You have been listening to the Para X Radio Network.